right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's session. My name is Marley Long, and I'll go ahead and get things started. Today, our webinar will cover digital employees taking people on the digital transformation journey. And I have Mark Smith joining me from Storm Technology, who we're very excited to have with us to partner for this webinar.
Hi, Marty. Good morning.
Hi, Mark. So I'll just jump into a bit of housekeeping before we get started. So this webinar is being recorded, so if you want to share this with a colleague in the next few days, we will be sending an email to everyone who's signed up with the recording as well. You can connect with us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @CardioLog, and you can connect with Storm at @StormTechLTD. And of course, if you have any questions, we'll leave some time towards the end of the session today for any kind of questions you may have, and feel free to send them through the questions box within the GoToWebinar panel at any time during the session today. Just a quick regard into today's agenda. So we'll start out with a very short introduction. Then I will be introducing Mark Smith from Storm Technology, who will be giving a really interesting presentation on the digital workplace, including topics like digital dexterity, the evolution of the workplace. And then I'll jump into a presentation and give some background on CardioLog Analytics and who we are, followed by some tips and best metrics that you can use to monitor and improve SharePoint adoption and usage. So I'll go ahead and hand over this presentation to you, Mark.
Great. Thanks, Marty.
Sure.
So hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Storm Technology and CardioLog Analytics. My name is Mark Smith. I'm a sales account manager with Storm Technology, and I'm going to bring you through the first 10 to 15 minutes of our presentation today. My email address is at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, so please take a note of it. I will be more than happy to field any of your queries following this session. So today I'm going to tell you about Storm's vision of the digital workplace looking through the Microsoft lens. We're going to introduce the concept of digital dexterity, the evolution of the workplace, and we're going to talk a bit about optimizing Office 365. Then we're going to link into intranets, and the second piece of the webinar will be around CardioLog Analytics delivered by Marley Long. So what is the digital workplace? There is plenty of material available online to research. I've taken 3 core points that I feel give the best description and are most relevant to the conversation today. So Avanade are a provider of insights into Microsoft technology. They suggest that there is a direct and substantial correlation between the provision of a digital workplace and increases in productivity, employee engagement, and revenue growth. That said, there is also a great deal of confusion around what a digital workplace actually looks like. Email and social media alone do not constitute a digital workplace. The most incredible fact that strikes me on this slide is that 91% of companies believe that today's teenagers will be working in roles that do not exist today. The moral of the story is quite clear. Will your organization adapt to change, or will you be left for dead? So here are some key takeaways from thought leaders in this space. Mr. Sam Marshall sets out that there is a virtual equivalent to the physical workplace. Like any physical workplace, it has to be planned and managed coherently. There's no point in throwing your desks in one corner of the office and your laptop sitting on the floor in the other corner. Jay McConnell highlights that the digital workplace is not just about technology. It's the intersection of people, organization, and technology. And Gartner highlights the more tangible organizational benefits. It is also worth mentioning that Gartner are recommending that by 2018, all organizations should have a digital strategy in place. So what is digital dexterity? For me, the graphic on the left perfectly illustrates my own personal digital dexterity from the perspective of what I do on my own time outside of work. For example, let's say I'm going to organize a party at home this weekend. The first step will be to create an event on Facebook and send out the invites. I'm then going to follow up with a reminder message on WhatsApp. On the night, I'm going to create a hashtag so that people can tweet their photos and everybody can see the photos without having to worry about being friends on Facebook or not. Then the following day, I'm going to upload a video on YouTube and share the link out. And I know what all of you are thinking right now. What about Instagram, Mark? Well, my answer to that is, I'm sorry, but I don't use Instagram. All of that together, all of that process, and how I go about doing that, that's my digital dexterity from a personal perspective. So now, what's my digital dexterity look like from a business or work perspective? Let's take that example and translate it to me having to organize an off-site team training day. What tools and technology can I use in work? It's not 100% clear, and as a result, I'm probably not as dynamic and digitally dexterous in a business setting as I am all the time. This is where having a business digital strategy comes into play. It is okay from a data protection point of view. Is it okay from a data protection point of view to use SurveyMonkey for feedback for the attendees? Is it okay for me to set up a WhatsApp group? What information am I allowed to share on that WhatsApp group? Is it okay to share the event photos on the main company Yammer page for all the company to see? All of these points and more are addressed when a clear digital strategy is in place for the enterprise. At Storm Technology, we have worked closely with a number of organizations to help them with this ever-evolving challenge. Each organization is different, and as a result, each organization has its own path to take. Going back to our friend Mr. Sam Marshall of 2 slides ago, just like the physical office in the virtual world, one size does not fit all. And work has changed, and how we work has changed. In the past, individuals were siloed, there was a strong emphasis on hierarchy, things were task-based with ad hoc collaboration at the best of times across business functions. Now, today, technology can enable efficient collaboration across multiple business units, at speed, and potentially spanning multiple geographies and time zones. Employees are working on twice as many team-based initiatives as they were 5 years ago. Personally, from what I've seen with my time at Storm, is that the drive to use collaborative tools has rapidly accelerated in the past 12 months. There's currently a massive push from organizations to take full advantage of agile, cloud-based technologies. And needless to say, one of the most powerful collaboration tools at your disposal today is Office 365. So why have we seen this rapid acceleration recently? Simply put, organizations know that ineffective workplaces have real costs. Agility, quality, innovation, they can all be directly compromised. The direct result of this is slow execution, not right first time, and ultimately a loss of opportunity for the business. So what is the digital employee? Well, if you look closely at this slide, you can see him right there in the middle. In an ideal world, the digital employee wants to achieve all of the business benefits that are outlined in the outer dark green ring. Business benefits like greater innovation, like faster speed to market, reduced operational costs, and increased revenues. The light blue ring highlights what technology can help our digital employee reach those goals in conjunction with pillars of governance. Technologies like Office 365, Dynamic CRM, SharePoint, and CardioLog Analytics all fit into this blue ring. And I really like this slide. The one thing that it does leave out, however, is user adoption training, which is vitally important and can never be understated when it comes to any successful digital transformational project. As I previously mentioned, One of the most powerful collaboration tools currently at your disposal is Office 365. If your organization has recently migrated to Office 365, the good news is that you are already well started on the journey of digital collaboration. For those of you yet to or planning to make that leap in the next 12 months, I hope that you will find some of this information that we've outlined today relevant and of interest to you, and hopefully help you in your decision process. Storm Technology have been helping many customers understand all the pieces of Office 365 and where it maps to their own unique business requirements so that digital employees can work more collaboratively and increase their productivity. We have helped organizations find out how Delve and Sway can help automate file discovery. We have helped organizations revolutionize internal note-taking with OneNote. Organizations ranging from 20 employees to 2,000 employees have started the conversation using Yammer. And Storm have helped customers deploy CardioLog analytics to extend, grow, and get the most of their SharePoint investment online or on-prem. On this page, you can see an example of an intranet Storm have deployed Health Social Care Trust. A company-wide intranet can constitute an important focal point of internal communication and collaboration while providing a single point of access internal and to external and external resources. Storm have a very good intranet in a box offering in this space. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see where we have added in some of our pre-built web parts that give customers a rich set of ready-to-go templates and components. These can be quickly updated and the content can be kept very relevant and very fresh on your intranet page. We can very easily surface social media links or press clippings, polls, countdown clocks to events, news carousels and announcements. The list goes on. In conjunction with your intranet, by deploying CardioLogs to work, you can provide in-depth analysis of user behavior and actions. You can quickly see what content is relevant and of interest to your employees and what information is not so popular and might need to be updated, rewritten, or tweaked. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Marley Long, and she's going to take you through in greater detail what insights CardioLog analytics can potentially provide your organization. Thank you for your time this morning, and I will be available for questions with Marley towards the end.
Thanks so much, Mark. Really fascinating presentation and topic as a whole. So with that, I'll go into what kind of metrics you can use to monitor and improve this kind of internal portal, intranet that Mark touched on before. So just a brief introduction. Intlock. So we've been around now for about 11 years and are based out of Boston. We've been focused on web analytics designed for SharePoint and Office 365. Our flagship solution is CardioLog Analytics, and it's built specifically for internal platforms, including all versions of SharePoint from 2007 to 2016, as well as SharePoint Online and Office 365. And we can also track third-party tools like Yammer, Citrion, CRM tools, and so forth. And the solution is available for both on-prem and as a SaaS-based version on Power BI. So just a bit of what we do and how we work with our customers. So our goal is to help our customers constantly improve SharePoint based on how it's being used. So faced with the need to operate efficiently and more cost effectively, so many organizations are met with a variety of internal challenges. So to face these internal challenges, we focus on these three main pillars. So we talk a lot about these with our customers to help improve and inherently improve the portal as well as inherently improving the entire digital workplace. So the first is to monitor, so tracking the usage within SharePoint. The second is engaging these users, so asking them what their needs are, what their pain points are, and what's not working for them. And then finally, the most important pillar is to enhance. So I'll focus quite a bit on this enhancement pillar today. So we want to make sure that we're constantly improving the portal based on these pillars. And the idea is to have these actionable metrics, which allow us to constantly make this digital platform better for our users and inherently improving the entire digital experience for the organization. So just to give you a brief idea of kind of things that our customers have been able to do with analytics, so in terms of improving portal ROI, so they were able to engage with enterprise users, so increasing portal productivity. Analytics can also be used to identify user challenges. So our customers facilitated innovative survey discussions, and based on the insights that they collected from the survey discussions, they were actually able to empower and improve user innovation. Third, enhancing portal usability, so identifying videos, for example, that were viewed for 20 seconds or less, and then identifying or replacing ineffective video content. Similarly, they were able to identify unviewed announcements or updates, and then they were able to inform site owners how to most effectively position content for increased viewing and increased productivity in the portal. And then again going into this increased corporate productivity, so identifying failed searches, so saving employees time by refining these failed searches, so they could also identify how many users were accessing the portal less than 5 times per week and could easily see which employees were in need of training. And again, I'll go into this in a bit more detail with some metrics and reports in just a few moments. And I just want to touch briefly on why do we need analytics when talking about SharePoint adoption and how can analytics improve the entire digital platform experience. So the key here is that you can only manage what you measure. So only can we really know what's going on, define if our launch was successful, measure if employees are using it and that adoption is actually increasing, is by being able to measure what's going on. And that's really the end goal that we focus on with many of our customers. So how can we measure the deployment, analyze it, and then help improve the environments based on what's actually going on with real data and real insights. So again, making these kind of investments in an intranet or even a migration can include a large amount of resources, and it can be in the forms of budgets, licenses, consultants, even human resources involving multiple teams and administrators, developers, and so forth. So by leveraging analytics, you can really find out whether the portal is performing as expected, whether it's truly providing value to the organization, and whether that return on investment is being realized. And that's really the end goal that we work with our customers on. So quickly, I will just hop into a short demonstration. I'll show you a few examples of how you can really track adoption and put these insights that you're finding into action. So two things I want to emphasize. So one is the ability to measure what's going on in SharePoint, measure SharePoint and manage the adoption and show that it's actually improving. And just as important is actionable metrics. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at this data, if the data doesn't let you take action, then this data is essentially useless. No one cares about pretty charts and tables, although I hope you will like them. People care about how they can be used to leverage SharePoint and measure adoption with the end goal of making it a more productive place for the users. So let's just jump into our user interface now. Okay. So here you can see this is CardioLog Analytics SaaS, and this is our user interface in Power BI. And this is an all-encompassing SaaS solution versus our on-prem solution, which is also available in the event that you are interested. But again, as Mark mentioned before, there has been this massive, massive push towards cloud-based technologies. So here we're also very focused on that and providing any kind of solution that we can in terms of, so we've developed our SaaS solution to try to keep up the pace with this massive push towards these cloud technologies. So let's go ahead and jump into this report. So just a few details on our solution as well. So our SaaS solution is provided through Power BI, as you can see here. It's a very powerful data visualization interface, and it's hosted on Microsoft Azure servers. So specifically, CardioLog SaaS comes with a set of pre-made reports and dashboards that we've put together in a way that we thought would be most beneficial for the users. So at the moment, there are over 20 pages in the reports, and we're constantly adding more. And when we designed the reports, we had a few things in mind. So the main purpose was, one, to provide the data, but we wanted to take it to the next level. So we didn't want to just say, hey, here are your page views and here are your visitors, go out, let's make decisions. We wanted to help our users really understand what they can learn from the data that is provided for them. So more specifically, we wanted these reports to be built in a way that already helps users know how they should measure their business and portal goals. And again, your business and portal goals may differ from, across various organizations. They'll have many different types of KPIs set forward. Just as Mark mentioned before, there's no one-size-fits-all strategy. So again, we have any kind of custom reports that can be made as well in the event that you find that these reports don't reflect the goals that you've set out with within your organization. But this is just kind of a general overview of the goals that we found were most important to our customers. So one, which we'll be talking a lot about, and this is this report here, is SharePoint adoption. So whether or not your users are actually using SharePoint. Second one was visitor engagement. The third report, collaboration. So are your users making the most out of the SharePoint collaboration capabilities? Fourth was portal usability. So what's the user experience like? How easy is it for users to use the portal? And fifth, the optimization of portal resources as well as supporting a migration process. So this here, what you can see on my screen, is an overview report for visitor adoption. And there's a few things that you can see here. So for example, we have our active users rate chart. So this chart actually shows you how many people are active out of the total registered SharePoint users and the trend over time. So for example, let's take a look at April. So I'll actually click on April, and this was the lowest result. So you can click on that and see how it interacts with the rest of the widgets on the report. So here we can see that only 33% of the users were active. So you can see that here up at the top. So why was that? So how many, so these metrics just show you, roughly what the user percentage is out of the rate of your user base. But again, knowing that 33% of your active users were only active in that month, it's not enough. So we want to know a little bit more about what they're doing once they're in SharePoint. So for example, we think about a case where 95% of active users are active. And that sounds really amazing. You have a 95% active user rate. But what if I told you that they only visit SharePoint once a week and they only spend a minute looking into the homepage and leaving? So that's why we added these additional reports here on the right-hand side to kind of get a more in-depth glance at what's going on at the general level. So again, one that can be particularly useful is your single page visits rate, which is what I just mentioned, of users only visiting the home page and then leaving. You can also see the bounce rate here, which is how many visits ended within 1 minute. And again, this average depth of visit, it's very important. You can really see how deep your users are going once they enter the portal. So it's very easy to understand if they're really gaining value from that, if they're interacting with the content, and if they're visiting multiple pages based upon these reports as well. So if you see any kind of disturbance or pattern in the patterns or spikes, then again, that can be a red flag that you should look into these these reports with additional reports as well. And again, we also, at the bottom here, we have this chart of average number of visitors per week. So we can also see how much time the visitors are spending in the average visit and really understand, what's the day-to-day experience look like for a user in the portal. So combining all of these together can really give you an idea of your overall user adoption rates. So many people try to build out this digital workplace and they end up with this sparkly new intranet. And having a report like this really gives a good sense of what's going on, from the big picture. But again, this is just an overview report. So to see more information, we will actually need to drill down into more individual reports. So we'll go ahead and do that here. So we have our inactive users report. So this represents a drill down, like what I mentioned before. So this report shows you the percentage of inactive users in each department. And you can also drill down and see exactly who they are. So not only monitoring your users, but also monitoring your group activity all in one report. So if you're wondering how exactly this is done, so this is done by pulling information from SharePoint, so pulling attributes from SharePoint profiles as well as Active Directory. And again, here you can see your active and inactive users based upon groups. So not all departments need particularly even the same amount of training. So this is something, again, Mark mentioned before, so allocating these resources towards training. So if you see, for example, a group that has a very high number of inactive users, so for example, this is just a demo example of our IT group. So we can actually click on that, and again, all of this information is dynamic in this report. So once we click on the IT group, we see that they have a high number of inactive users. We can even focus more on specific users within that group. And we can actually take this list of users and say, okay, now we can only train this specific group or even these specific users, and use that money wisely in terms of training cost. So again, you can click specifically on a user. So for example, we'll click on John Alcock. And this is a very powerful report to show so any kind of user information, his email, his office, his department, as well as his job title. And drilling down into activity, so you can actually see the kind of activity of when he was active, which months he was active in, which days he was most active during the week, and so forth. Sorry, the drill down. There we go. And so here we can see the days that he's most active as well as the times, and in addition to that, what kind of content he's contributing to and what pages he's viewing as well.
Marley, quick question for you, and just to bring it back to the unused content piece that you mentioned.
Sure.
So let's say I'm an organization and I'm looking to conduct an intranet refresh. Is it possible to see what pages are not being viewed or accessed by Mr. Alcock here, or is it possible to give me, advanced warning of what's not appealing to users of the intranet?
Sure. So we have a few ways in which this can be visualized within CardioLog Analytics SaaS. So I think a very powerful way to view this kind of unused content is actually, in essence, we integrate with the entire SharePoint tree structure. So you can actually have this overview here of the common navigation here on how people are actually navigating through the portal and what is the number of page views. Here we can see here by aggregated title. So for example, we can click here on one of the lower site pages, and we can see how specifically people are navigating to that site page as well. And we can do that. We can actually drill down into any kind of list, document, and subsites and so forth within the entire SharePoint tree structure as well. So just moving forward, I want to show you guys just to round out my presentation here. So this is actually an insights page that we developed with a customer of ours. So this is a kind of combined insights page showing various reports as well as tips that we included next to these reports, and case studies as well. So again, these categories are based upon what I mentioned previously, so these really important Sharepoint goals. So again, this is actually within Power BI as well, and it can be placed on any kind of SharePoint site as a web part. So for example, if you have a site manager who wants to improve their specific site, you can actually integrate this report onto their site, and every time they log into their site, they can see, okay, what does my site adoption look like this week or this month? Who are my new visitors? How are they engaging? And so forth. So briefly, I'll just touch on here this site adoption category. So here you can see your new visitors versus your returning visitors. And if you're trying to increase the amount of visitors who access your site, the amount of new visitors can help you see how well you're doing to reach that goal. And we've included really nice tips here on the bottom left corner. So sharing the site with more users so that users will get an email invitation to the site, adding a promotional banner to your site for your content on other sites, and when collaborating with colleagues, send them links to your site instead of emailing attachments. And again here on this right-hand side, you can actually see what some of our other customers were able to do with this report as well. So they detected that only 45% of permitted users accessed the site, and they were actually able to improve user adoption by 86% by promoting the site on other main sites in the portal itself. Moving down into engagement and productivity. So if your site is a news or company content site, a high value is a positive indicator for high user engagement. So if your site is all about, maybe getting the information you need out as quickly as possible, a small value may be a more positive indicator for productivity. But again, that's based upon, the KPIs that you've set forth. And again, there's not a one-size-fit-all strategy for this, but again, these are kind of general tips that you can use. So tips that we've included here to increase your engagement and productivity, so making your homepage more attractive, maybe adding more aesthetically pleasing thumbnails for interesting articles, and here checking your top exit pages, this table here, so you can see which pages your users are more likely to leave from the site, and improving the exit rate by adding links, for example, to other content on the site, which will improve the content of the pages themselves. And in addition to that, you can also check your top popular content and top search phrase tables, and you can really see what sort of content visitors like to see and add more content based upon that as well. In a case study, for example, so one of our customers was detected that most users leave the site after visiting only one page, and then they were able to improve the page depth to 6 pages by adding links from the home page to other pages in the site as well. So here we have our content contributions. So creating descriptive templates to make it easier for users to add new content is a key tip. Enabling gamification. So this is something that we've seen a lot of our customers were able to do with these reports. So adding a message to your homepage praising your top contributors. And this can also be done through our collaboration and engagement tools, which I didn't have time to include in this presentation today, but are also a part of CardioLog Analytics SaaS. In addition to that, enabling likes, enabling ratings, so this kind of positive feedback will encourage your users to add more content and engage more in the portal themselves. So here you can see these are your top contributors in the last 7 days, and you can actually see what kind of contributions, how many contributions they made, and in addition to that, how many followers they have. Site usability, this is really important aspect of improving adoption in the portal. So failed searches, so these are cases where a visitor uses the site search but doesn't click on any result from the results returned from that search. So the meaning of this is that the user didn't find the content they're looking for, and this can really affect productivity if it takes more time for users to get what they need. And this can also create a form of user dissatisfaction. So you can check here, you have your top search phrases table to understand what types of information visitors are seeking and what content can't be easily found. Adding more content, for example, that for search phrases that didn't populate results. Improving discoverability by defining searchable managed properties in the search schema. And in addition to that, you can add more, you can improve search relevance by identifying high quality pages as well. Again, we have our mobile compatibility. So if your visitors are using mobile to browse to your site, a good mobile compatibility will make the user experience better. So customer was able to detect 33% of the site's traffic that was coming from mobile, and then they were able to use those insights to take action and improve user satisfaction by 50% by optimizing the site's mobile view. And the last topic that I'll touch on is site resources. So optimizing space. So this is a really important aspect of kind of managing that sprawl. So you know, in addition to the amount of documents that are in the portal, there may even be some documents that are orphaned, for example. So you can check the top unused content in this table here to see if the items can be deleted in order to free up space. And deleting unused content can also make it easier for your visitors to navigate through the portal and really find what they need. So identifying that important content that's not being used as well. So if it's not being used and it's valuable to the organization, so you can position that content better so that it's more accessible. So perhaps placing it on a home page or perhaps creating more accessible buttons. And then checking who has permissions to create subsites and content as well. So preventing that unneeded content from being created in addition. So here you can see under a case study of one of our customers, so detected over 5,400 unused items and then was able to save over 1 terabyte of space. So again, these are really great examples of what can be done using analytics, and I really like this report because it's just very straightforward and it gives you your tips, it gives you examples, and it gives you your reports all in one. And I think that's really helpful for site owners to really understand their specific site. And in addition to just site owners, this kind of report could also be created, to reflect an entire portal as well. So I really just wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's particularly helpful for, understanding these metrics, but within the kind of context of these goals that we've set forward. So not just having these, random metrics to determine, what are my page views, what does my search look like, but actually putting these reports into context so that you can actually understand them and how they really relate to portal goals and to increasing productivity in the portal and improving those adoption levels and just generally improving the entire digital experience. So, each organization, again, is different. They have their own path, but with this rapid acceleration to these digital platforms and this entire digital experience within the organization, metrics are really key in order to manage that entire experience for your users. So I'll just, for now, jump back into our presentation. Oops, let's go back here. Okay, so again, this was kind of I'm just rounding out our presentation now, And if you're interested in a free trial or a personal demo, we would be happy to provide that for you to give you a bit more insights, a bit more details on what you can do with analytics. And you can also reach out to us by email, info@intlock.com. And again, Storm you can reach out to. Mark's email, you can email him at msmith@storm.ie, as well as visiting their website at www.storm.ie. And at this time, if anyone has any questions, feel free to enter any questions that you may have into a chat box, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So we'll just give you guys a minute in the event that anyone has any questions. And if you think of any questions, after this presentation is over, feel free to email us. We'll be happy to answer any questions after the session as well. And again, we will be sending the recording after the presentation is over. So in the event that you had to drop out, or if you want to send this presentation to a colleague, we'll be happy to send you the recording as well. Okay. Okay, so
are the questions flooding in, Marley?
So I've got one question from Susan, just asking if it's possible to track social platforms like Yammer. So again, I didn't have time to show any reports based specifically on Yammer today, but the answer to that is yes. So there's a broad range of reports available to track Yammer, including things like user adoption rate, top groups in Yammer, your influential users, followers, likes, and more. So that is available. So just so you know. Okay, and I've just got another question, again asking about if there's a trial available. So again, there is a trial available both for CardioLog on-prem as well as SaaS. So you can simply just send a chat in the chat box if you're interested in a trial, and I'll be sure to get that taken care of as well. And I think that may be all the questions that we have at this time, but if anyone has any questions for me, or again from Mark from Storm, feel free to send them into the chat box or into our emails as well, and we'll be happy to answer any questions after the session. So I think
Marty, thank you very much for your time today. That was very interesting, and it really highlights some of the powerful reports that CardioLog Analytics can deliver. I found that very interesting.
Great. Thanks so much, and thanks everyone for joining, and have a great day.